Okay, welcome back again. The next video here is going to be about our first topic, which is diabetes. Now, in early iterations of this class, we would dive way down deep into the molecular mechanisms associated with diabetes, but I realized that that's too much. There's so much information on diabetes, and we don't want to get bogged down in the details. But Uh, one of the reasons I picked this syndrome or disease is that it might strike close to home. I've had some diabetic students before. You may have somebody in your family that's diabetic, and it's a huge societal problem, as we'll see. So in the slides that I put in there, I do give you a little bit of information on the diseases, the different types, because I don't know how much you know about it. So as you go through the slides, there will be some information on type 1, type 2 diabetes. There are other types as well. But again, I want you to think about it. It's kind of a classic uh, imbalance, if you will, of the systems in our body. So we have hormones like glucagon and insulin that are antagonistic to each other that work to control the amount of sugar in your bloodstream. And when there are issues either with the beta cells in your body that produce insulin or the other cells responding to insulin, then you can have severe perturbations in the levels of glucose in your body, and this can lead to all sorts of issues. So it's kind of interesting in terms of Ayurveda. Here we have an imbalance in the hormones for whatever reason, and that affects how our body uses sugar. And as you probably remember from even Gen Bio looking at metabolism, glucose is the preferred sugar source for cells. So it's very important to keep the levels in a proper stability at the proper level. How about that? And in some respects, our cells won't even be able to use the glucose that's in the bloodstream. So they kind of call it starvation in the midst of plenty. So very interesting situation. So go through the few slides. The first one gives you some of the molecular aspects of it, some of the changes in your body when you're fasting or when you're fed, what happens to the hormones, how they work together. There's one slide that looks at the other systems that are affected by this. So it's not just metabolism. There are other parts of the body that are going to be affected by the diabetic situation. And then the second slide focuses more on the economic and societal impacts. So as I'm filming this in mid 2020, we're in the midst of the COVID pandemic. Everybody's going crazy about that. But diabetes is, some people have argued, is already been a pandemic. If you look at the rates of obesity in the United States, it's amazing. And so here I want you to think about, okay, what are some of the other effects, not just biological, what are the effects on society of a population that has a huge obesity problem in some areas, huge diabetes problem stemming from that, and lots of other health issues. And then the economic effect. How much money are we spending in healthcare to help people with diabetes? Going back to society, why isn't it not easier to get people to exercise, to try to reverse that? Some big questions. So as you're reading through this, obviously don't memorize all the molecular details. Try to get a sense for the disease, what it does. You can obviously do more research to fill in some gaps. There's plenty, trust me, plenty of research on diabetes. Let me know if you have any issues finding information for your studies. As you're reading through this, you want to be journaling, of course. Go ahead, feel free to go out and find more information, answer your own questions. That is lifelong learning, is finding the skills, the materials to be able to do this. Let me know if you need help. I can direct you to Google Scholar for other research. And start to think about, okay, what is the imbalance in our body in diabetes, and how does that lead to effects on other parts of the body? And we'll kind of expand on that in the next videos.